I will learn to fight. I will learn to fly. I will learn to kill. I don't learn to die. Taking back the walls, taking back our life. Strike on every titan until they out of sight.
Speaking of the Joker, like, in a vacuum it really works as a standalone. I guess that's what in a vacuum means, but...
yeah, that's what it means.
Redundant there. But yeah, I wish they had left it as it is and not try to branch off into this universe. Because it's cool that it is a Joker story and you do get introduced to the Wayne family and everything.
Right, and I think that, again, like you said, in a vacuum, the movie works really well because it's, as far as I know, because I know a bunch of people are going to actually me, but it's the first time I can think of in which the Joker was very humanized.
Oh yeah, it has heavy, like... I got Killing Joke vibes. I got Batman Year One, or no, Dark Knight Returns, because of the whole going on the talk show and everything.
As a very casual fan of comic book media, in terms of not really the comic books, but more so the media byproduct, I always just think of the Joker as presented as already a villain, and not so much how did he get so fucked up.
Yeah,
no.
So the Killing Joke's popular because it humanizes him a bit. I like the character, not in the sense that I think he's great, like he's a good person. He's not. Right. He's a piece of shit, really.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's the thing. You can like the movie, you can like the story of the character, but if you think the character is a admirable person, fuck off.
Yeah, I'm not glorifying what he does.
Yeah, no. Only Ian Moody would think that someone like the Joker is a admirable person.
He has a
see, I am
pin.
Good.
He has a haha pin on his fedora.
The fact that he really openly wears a fedora, he's got to be a joke.
In his no, it's not.
I mean, he is
a appeal, yeah. Anyway, so yeah.
So how was your last month, sir?
Riveting.
What have you been up to?
God, I don't even know. Like
that's podcast worthy. I guess let's just keep it. A lot of work.
Got a PlayStation 4. I was gonna say PS2 again. I wish.
PS4
again. Finishing up Horizon. Started The Witcher, and
there you go.
Try that one out.
I really hope you will like The Witcher, despite the overhypeness of it. I want your honest opinion, not a contrarian one. Not a if you really are disappointed, so be it.
Yeah.
But I think you really will like it, and I'd like to know what you think.
No, the thing is though, Sword and Sorcery was never my bag,
Right. True.
Probably why I never.
Which is why you were more hyped about Cyberpunk, which is understandable.
See, exactly. I don't care. Like, I never played The Witcher. I love Cyberpunk.
You have to. A lot of people have never played games that other devs make. That it's just a stupid argument that you were telling me about ages ago. That people were giving you shit for that.
Whatever.
Anyways, so what games in particular, when you have had time, have you been able to cram? I know it's been a month. So the last time I think was Vampire
over Halloween
was the last one, that we talked about.
Playing Fallen Order, which is really good. It's a really good game.
Nice.
Or, excuse me, I'll use Jim's pronouns. It's perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
I started playing Evil Within, which is great.
1 or 2?
One. I have 2, and I'm putting it on there because you told me 2 was better.
Evil Within 1. How you say it's? Did you play much survival horror growing up in terms of like your Resis and your Silent Hills and stuff like that?
Not Silent Hill, but Fatal Frame and Resi 1 and 2.
Okay.
What else? Dead Space later on.
I'm just curious if the bugginess of the game bothers you that much, because that's more so. It's more technical foibles that bother me.
The plot what I'm noticing already. Yeah, the plot's pretty par for the course.
It's whatever. Yeah.
Although I suspected Joseph was going to be some kind of villain, but he's just kind of there. Like, it almost seems like Japanese representation.
Yeah, basically. I thought he was going to be...
Yeah, because he's like the odd man out. It was like that build-up from the old movies where like the minority is the bad guy.
Right.
But it's like, no, he's just there Japanese representation, which is cool. I thought that was nice, peppered in. The bugginess is, like, the other day, I just started it, right? So I'm running from Chainsaw Guy, and I'm pressing R1 on PlayStation to go into the locker. In the very first, chapter fucking 1, don't even get to the decrepit town yet. And he caught me. Like, he, jukes into the room and fucking turns me around and slices me in half.
Oh, God.
So I thought that was kind of like, alright. So I uninstalled it already. But EW2's in there, so I'm going to go after that.
Yeah, I would say with Evil Within 2 is a better game. It was much different, and they kind of ditched trying to be more like Resident Evil and kind of just started to do their own thing, almost to the point of being a little... not silly, but a little less serious. It takes itself a little less serious, and I think that
Respect.
it benefit itself from that. So I would say maybe watch a video of Evil Within 1, or maybe watch Best Friend Plays playthrough of that.
Okay.
Because one, it's funny.
Yeah.
And then two, you will also see the issues that they were running into, the technical stuff and everything, like the glitches, and like they would just, it was just horrendous. Like it's really it's a shame.
That's almost game breaking for me.
And the thing is, too, Shinji Mikami of Platinum was the one who worked. The Evil Within is his brainchild, you know, and so
it's a cool story.
It was one of his, projects independent of Platinum. Obviously, working with Bethesda in this case. However, go figure. In a totally non-joking fashion, and absolutely not surprising at all, Bethesda is the reason the game is the way it is, because Mikami didn't want to release the game yet because it wasn't done, and Bethesda said no.
Yeah.
It's got to come out by Halloween of whatever fucking year that is. So it's coming
2013, 2014,
like
maybe.
That, yeah.
A long time ago now. So is 2 Bethesda, or is that Platinum?
Bethesda it's still Bethesda.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, Todd. Talk for days about.
They're both by Tango GameWorks, who those people work really closely with. It's Mikami's company, so he's kind of has his hands in two pots, two cool pots, because Tango does some cool stuff.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna look it up real quick, but I want to say Tango's the one that's doing Ghostwire Tokyo, which got a lot of press because what's her face was like...
Oh, the artist girl?
Yeah, she was... God, I can't remember her name. Anyway, she's from Platinum too, also. Yeah. And then she went to go work with Mikami at Tango, and now she's a freelancer. She's actually independent now. She left Tango. I think they're still working with that. But the thing that's got everybody hyped is her and my boy, Hideki Kamiya from Platinum, announced that they are going to be working on Okami 2 together. So, which is... fitting, because she did the original Okami, and that's all her art and everything. So,
nice.
What would Okami 2 be without her, essentially? And then Kamiya was the director of Okami. So, it's like the difference between seeing a sequel to a movie of a franchise you like, directed by people that have nothing to do with it, and produced by people that have nothing to do with it, versus the OGs coming back and wanting to do a passion project sequel and not just a money sequel, which is what Okami 2 seems to be. Where I find it interesting is it Platinum going to be doing Okami, or is Capcom going to mercenary hire Kamiya and oh my god, I can't remember. Talk to the audience about Okami if you played it and whatnot, because I'm going to look up her name real quick.
Oh man, that was a hard pass. I've never played Okami.
Okay,
not for any.
What about talk about Vanquish.
Vanquish was cool. I played it a long time ago, and I remember it had Steve Bloom, and I liked the game mechanics. I thought it was neat. I can't wait to play the remaster. Yeah, it's cool. So they're doing a 10-year anniversary release of Vanquish and Bayonetta together in a 2-pack. It's going to be a 2-pack in a steelbook. So all consoles.
For PS4 and Xbone.
Really?
At the moment,
Okay.
Because it's already on PC.
Yeah.
And Bayo 1 is on Switch, but not Vanquish, which I would love to see Vanquish on Switch. That might be their next thing. But the steelbook is available for PS4 and Xbox. So that's really awesome. Yeah.
I started getting physical games again, so.
Right. I'm a moron, and I can't find her name, so I'm sorry. But
what is her name?
So, right. You know what? I could have just looked up, because I'm an idiot. I could have just looked up Ghostwire Tokyo, because she was even before she left, she was one of the fucking leads on that shit. So I could have just probably done that. Nakamura, Ikumi Nakamura. Yep. That's who it was. Anyways, she's cool, because she's Platinum Blood, so she's, as far as I'm concerned, she's a sister to my faves. She's from there, so, Anyways, we've been banging on about that long enough. Anything else going on with your month that you want to mention? Shows you saw? Yeah, we were talking about games a bit. You're gonna be working on Witcher and hopefully Evil Within 2.
Yeah. God, I don't know what else happened, man. It's all like one big blur now with work and everything.
I know, that's the other thing we're doing month-long things.
We're gonna see Star Wars on Friday, so let's see how that goes.
You mean you already saw it, right?
Oh, yeah, it was great.
There you go.
In the Gymquisition.
Yeah, there you go. So with that being the case, in my month, just real quick, as all of you will have seen by now, you guys totally saw that I dropped my video last week. My top 10 Switch games video dropped last week.
Oh, yeah.
So that was really cool. About 8 days old now, but yeah, hopefully you guys have been enjoying that.
That was a really good video. You should check it out.
Thank you, sir. I also worked. I did. I don't know why I said that. And then the games I've been playing recently, I picked up Pokemon, but didn't play it for too much. Not enough to even have an opinion. Of course, did a little bit more Witcher 3, but then put that on break. I was replaying Celeste, which is a really cool puzzle platformer game for those who haven't played it. And then, of course, the one that I hear about all these games, and then I either get to them or I don't, or I care for them or I don't. But I played The Tourist, Tourist, which is a Switch exclusive, and it's really cool. Digital Foundry was going off about how it's a graphical marvel and stuff like that for the Switch, which it is. But the game itself is pretty solid and a lot of fun. I will admittedly say that there was one puzzle I couldn't get past, so I had to look up a strategy guide thing to it because I would have never thought of the solution. It was a really tough puzzle, or for me, I'm just probably an idiot, but it's one of those things where I was at a point where I'm like, do I swallow my pride and actually get to enjoy the rest of the game by just looking up the solution for one puzzle out of a trillion?
Yeah.
Or do I just probably... Because it's happened before, where I just got stuck at a part, was too prideful to look up the solution, and never played the game again. Now I didn't get to finish it or enjoy it.
Yeah.
If I had just done what I did here, where I maybe just did it on one puzzle, now I can enjoy the rest of the game just because I got stuck on one thing. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, I don't regret it, but I got stuck. What can I do? It was either throw away $20 because you know what I mean, because I can't go on and there's a lot of game left.
Yeah.
Or do it. But yeah, I admittedly did that. It's whatever.
I think I do it all the time. I don't have the time to tease out exactly how I'm supposed to progress and figure out a puzzle. And two, I think the reason we did it back in the day is because we didn't have the convenience of the internet.
Right.
So, yeah, fuck it, man. There's no shame in that.
There you go. Before we get started, where can all the people find you on the internet? If you want them to find you, where can they get you at?
Right now, you can find me on @EvilDeadGuy on Twitter. And if you want to go look at my Reddit, it's DisasterMan0927.
Any music going on lately, or that's kind of on the kibosh on that for now?
We'll see. I finished everything. Everything's wrapped.
It just hasn't been released yet.
Distribution, and figuring out what to do. But I do make music occasionally.
Yeah, cool. And I'm going to be hopefully helping him out with that. So we're talking, trying to get that thing going. So we'll see. You can find me on @ZDRocker at all the places. You can find all my stuff at SlimAsianEntertainment.com, as well as the podcast, both this spin-off one and the weekly one, at DisconnectedCast.com.
Yeah.
For some reason, a couple of people involved in the podcast that aren't you or me had issues where they kept doing disconnected.com or whatever, and I just kept saying, "What are you doing? That's not it. You're sending them to Lord knows where."
Yeah.
Anyways, so first up on the docket is we're going to talk about Shenmue 3. Now, we're going to talk about two things that are going to be tangentially related to a primary topic that I'm going to bring up. It may just come to a stopping point, or it may come to a actual discussion, which is Shenmue 3 and the Stadia. Are two topics that we're going to talk about real quick, just to bring up. So,
the comedy
in
cast.
In Shenmue 3, there is a meter, as you will have in most games, but the issue with this meter is it's your stamina, health, and hunger meter.
All in one?
All in one. So if you're hungry and your thing starts draining, or you were sprinting and then you got into a fight, you could have no health left.
Yeah, what the
when
fuck?
You go into a fight.
Why would you tie all that together?
Because
Because you took all this
Because
money
this is
and
such
you didn't
great.
have time to.
This is such great. And that's the
split
thing,
it.
right? Is that Shenmue 3 is a problem because it got so much money, and the game just seems like it would have. It just came out like it in the time period of 20 years ago. It would have been fitting in terms of it'd be shitty, but like it makes sense. Like another Shenmue game is a little ass backwards, but it's 2000 whatever. That's forgivable.
Given the dev cycles back then.
But now, I'm gonna cut this out.
Dope.
I'm gonna cut this out. All right, so 15 minutes. So I am going to, and that's the thing, with all the studio and publisher backing that it got. First they scammed everyone out of that Kickstarter. Then you had Deep Silver get in there. Then you had Sony, Epic Games. Like it's just crazy how many people threw money in there afterwards. And for getting that much money, and Yu Suzuki is basically like, oh, the more money we have, the more expansive and bigger they can get. It was a big pile of shit, and that's the thing about it. And the funny thing is, he was quoted as saying recently after the game came out is that he's wanting to make a fourth one. So 20 years from now, when Shenmue 4 comes out, well, no, that's the thing. So the problem is, you probably didn't hear much about it, right? And
not really.
The way that went is, people who don't like Shenmue didn't play it. People who like Shenmue played it and liked it because they just wanted more Shenmue for some god-awful reason,
That's fine.
With me, I liked Shenmue when it was out, and there was nothing else like it. It truly was one of its, one of a kind back then. You went around the town, played games. You were in this little open fantasy world. You worked your little bullshit job, and you bide your time as you're trying to accomplish the narrative progressing missions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even though it was a big influencer on Yakuza, we have Yakuza and the related franchises now, so there's no reason for me to want to play Shenmue unless Shenmue is as polished.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's been 20 years or so, or whatever, 18, 20 years, whatever, since the last Shenmue game. And with that being the case, you shouldn't still feel like the game came out then. You can still do things to preserve and make it feel like it fits still.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't have a case in which the game is like bad things make it feel like, you know what I mean? It's bad reasons that it feels like an old game. You know what I mean? Not like nostalgic or not. Because, like, for example, another game I was playing recently on the Switch Virtual Console, one of my favorite games of all time, Kirby's Dream Land.
Yeah.
I was playing that again recently, and it still plays like a goddamn charm. I never have a thing happen in there where I'm like, oh, the game is just shitty, so that's why I died.
Yeah.
Every time I die in it, every time I get hit in it, I know that was me.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's a lot easier now because it has save states and whatnot, so I can always just quit when I need to and pick up when I, from where I left off.
Yeah.
But that being said, that if another a Kirby game came out like that, there'd be nothing wrong with it because it was functional and great back then and still fits now.
Yeah.
If it had been shitty then, you would expect it to be improved now.
Yeah.
Anyways, but that's enough banging on about that. That Shenmue 3. You didn't really have much experience with the Shenmue series, right?
No, I was just about to ask, what about Shenmue 3 is bad? Because I have no frame of reference. I've seen a few screens, and the screens look like PS2 quality graphics.
Mm-hmm.
And I take that, I say that like pretty heavily, because even Bioshock Remastered, while it looks old, it doesn't feel old,
Yeah, so with Shenmue, everything about it is just aged. That's the thing. It just has mechanics like the waiting and walking around and stuff like that, and everything just feels old and not in an aged well way. It's like a bottle of wine that you cracked open then left in the cellar for like years. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So.
Ew.
There's that. On the other side of things, Stadia, good stuff. It's basically no one really talks about it anymore because God knows it's basically not going to be a thing.
Yeah,
but
it's not going anywhere.
When you have your did you trade in your Xbone or you kept your Xbone?
No, of course not.
Okay, so you got your Xbone and your PS4 now.
Mm-hmm.
You got your PS4 back, I suppose is a better way to put it.
Yeah.
When you play your PS4 or Xbox, how do you typically buy your games? If you don't buy physically, obviously.
Depends. Because I have bought some physically just because of...
No. If you don't buy
If I don't?
physically. Yeah. How do you do it, of course? Like, It's a very obvious answer. It's not a trick question or anything.
Oh yeah. The only like step is I don't put my information on the system itself.
Okay, fair enough.
With Sony,
but
yeah.
what is it on the system that you use to buy your games?
It was a shop.
Right?
Yeah.
Which you would think you should have, right?
I mean, that's kind of par for the course. Even Nintendo got that right.
So Stadia is supposed to be a console, right?
Supposed to
but you can't buy games. There's no store through the Stadia interface. You have to pull out your phone, open up your Google Play or Stadia store from your phone, and then purchase the games through there.
Oh, just like Xbox.
And to download them through your thing. Because you have the Microsoft Store, the PlayStation Store, and the eShop for Nintendo.
Yeah, but you have to use your phone for those too.
God.
So what? Why are they still pushing this? Why is this something Google really wants to? I get it because everyone wants to get in the gaming community. It's a big market right now, especially now. But what back-assward idiot thought that let's go ahead and push this out without testing anything?
And that's the biggest problem. So what I said before when the Stadia came out, and I still stand by it, is if the Stadia came out at least with everything it promised and then failed just because of the internet infrastructure, I would be like, well, see, I told you it wasn't going to work because, the internet in everywhere except for, like, Korea and Japan is, like, not ready for this shit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have it where the thing came out half-baked, and that's where I think the real issue lies, is the fact that, like you said, who thought it was a good idea to just push this shit out?
And then to make the freest game of all, make that your flagship free game.
Okay, so to be, I guess to be as fair as possible, the problem with that is that deal was made before the free-to-play for everyone deal went through.
Oh, okay.
So when that was announced, it was really only going to be free on Stadia at first. But then before Stadia could even come out, they already made that deal with everybody else.
Bungie was just like, fuck it.
Well, they broke up for Activision, remember? So that was in their best interest at the time to do that. But what I was going to say is, do you have any recollection or memories in a personal, anecdotal sense of a system in a game that you remember that you just hated? Like the one bar thing in Shenmue 3 or whatever like that. Did you have a game? Was there a game mechanic or anything that you remember in a game that you played growing up? Whether or not the game was good, but just a mechanic you remember being so like fucked up that you were just like, why is this a mechanic? And a thing.
Nothing readily comes
other than
to
armor
mind.
Locking.
See, even I love that now. Like, I started using armor lock just to be a fucking troll. I was going to show you a meme earlier, actually. I'll explain it because it's funny. It's that scene from Dark Knight Rises where the Joker's like, come on, do it, hit me. And, like, it shows him, but he has the armor lock equipped. And Batman's coming in the ghost. So, yeah.
That's pretty good.
That was a good one. Nothing... The only thing that readily comes to mind is the lack of a quality map in Outer Worlds.
Okay, interesting to use a good game as an example.
Yeah, because it's a good game overall. The gameplay's good, the whole narrative is great.
Yeah.
Not in the gym way. But the map is the only downfall I see for that game, really.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
For me, it's any of the modern Sonic games. The spin dash is broken. Well, except for Sonic Mania. But the spin dash is broken and doesn't function properly, so it's like one of Sonic's main utilities. And when you have it where it just fucks up and prevents you from being as agile or useful in the game, when that's Sonic's main utility, just is stupid. Like, to me, that's an example. Those are bad games, obviously, because a lot of the modern Sonic ones that aren't have anything to do with Christian Whitehead is bad. I mean, Christian Whitehead's one of the only people who knows how to make a good Sonic thing, because what they do is they know how to look at the old stuff and be like, what do people like about that?
Yeah,
and
Sonic Mania looked pretty good. What was the other one? Sonic Forces?
No. That wasn't a real
Is that like Metroid Zero Force or whatever the thing?
No, it was even worse than that. Moving on in the docket, we had... before we move on, what the hell were we talking about? We were talking about armor locking.
Bad mechanic.
We were talking about bad mechanics.
Like a game that completely bogged down.
Yeah.
It seemed like you were going somewhere.
We were talking about Outer Worlds. God damn it. That was the point I was going to make, is a funny thing to tell you about how something had happened.
It's either Shenmue or the Stadia, because you transition from Stadia into this.
Shenmue, and then... It was something we discussed that in an episode that you weren't there, and then I was gonna laugh about it. Oh god damn it! It was we did fuck it. I guess I'll just move on because I can't remember.
We'll circle back.
But yeah, no, it was a thing that happened like video game wise of like a thing that you weren't aware that had happened over time.
Yeah.
That
because I was out for a while.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
know,
only
that's the
recently
thing.
I'm like balls deep again.
Yeah. Well, while we do that, go ahead.
To everyone listening, what's a
go
game mechanic that you thought completely bogged down a great game? Let us know.
There you go. What? Oh, I think it did have something to do with the Stadia. I'm looking at my notes now. Video Game Awards. Now you said there was in and out of like your.
Someone had it on at work,
Yeah.
and like it was cursory. Like we tuned in right as Smash was winning, which is cool. Yeah, good. Happy Smash won. What else would have gone up? Like if someone was like Jump Force, I'm like, it's not a bad game. It's just kind of
What? Jump Force isn't a bad game. Are you sure?
It's I played it. I finally played it, and it was okay. It seemed very stripped down. Like if they had released this in an arcade, like as a cabinet, sure, that would have been cool. But yeah, good job, Sekiro. Congratulations on your
I was
victory.
really surprised that one ended up winning. It's not a bad game. I'm at least happy that they made an effort to not do something so, redundant or expected, like fucking Call of Duty or some fucking nonsense like that.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but at the same time, Sekiro really.
I'm honestly.
I feel like Devil May Cry 5 would have been a better choice. Resident Evil 2 Remake would have been a better choice. Like.
Yeah, but
Astral Chain would have been a better choice.
Okay, that one, yeah, I'll give. Because someone made the point, like, well, why not Resi 2? It's like, well, is it a true, like, new game? It's a remaster, and it's a remake, and it's really good, but Sekiro's kind of got that...
It was Stadia. Sorry, okay. This topic's dead now.
Told you we'd cycle back to it.
This thing's been canceled now. I just had to go through my old docket and stuff like that. So there was a thing where... Did you see the footage of when they were talking about Destiny on Stadia?
No.
What's his name? Mr. Park. I forgot his full name, but at Washington Post.
No.
And so on there, just to show how the Stadia is just not ready for time, at Washington Post, especially in the in their offices outside of like over there in the Capitol, outside of like Silicon Valley and in Cali, where they have like the best internet possible, is over there where they have it in the Washington Post offices. They have like super high quality fiber and optics and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
so
okay, yeah.
They were playing all that, and he was just showing how inconsistent it is. So sometimes you're playing and it's fine, right? Because you're running on really good internet.
Yeah.
But even on really good internet, he would like jump. Like he press the space bar, he was playing mouse and keyboard like you should on a first-person shooter, and he would press the space bar, and like a whole one Mississippi would go by before the character would jump.
Ooh,
and
that's a huge
now
delay.
exactly. So with I would say fighting games and shooters are two genres that like need absolutely zero input lag because it makes all the difference in a headshot or someone turning around or jumping can make all the difference. In competitive gaming, right? Well, and then not that Stadia will ever be even considered as a platform for that, right? For example,
what are you talking about?
PlayStation has garbage netcoding. Xbox has better netcoding. People prefer to play on PlayStation because PlayStation. But when fighting game tournaments happen, if the game is available on Xbox, the tournament will usually run the Xbox version because there's less lag.
Yeah. So I play all multiplayer on Xbox. Except Destiny 2, I downloaded that because that's where all my shit is. My data.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, he was just showing that. Could you imagine, right, playing a Crucible match in which there's a 1 second delay on everyone's end?
Dude, holy shit!
Can you imagine the storm of like how off everything would be? Like how you shot someone, but then they lagged, and then that appeared, and then you lagged, and your shot hit them by accident. You know what I mean? Like, kind of all this mess.
I get that in Halo now sometimes.
Oh,
like,
God.
I know, especially with the hammer, I know I've killed this dude, but somehow I end up dead. Mm-hmm. Yeah, alright. Well,
what game would you like to see as a Switch port? I know you don't have a Switch yet, though you really should eventually get one to get the trifecta of the current gen.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Lite just because I want the handheld.
And it's cheaper.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just such a brilliant call. For $200, it's really a no-brainer to just get that. Because if you think about that, it's like as much as a 3DS was, except 10 trillion times better than a 3DS. My fucking 3DS and my Wii U are like at my folks' place as like, when I'm over, I have something to play. Oh wait, I have my Switch anyways. But if I didn't before I had, before Switch came out, I would just leave that shit there. Because guess what? The Switch slammed both of them together and turned both of those irrelevant. So.
Yeah, it's a damn near perfect system.
It's
really
awesome.
changed my
yeah, but if you do get it though, what would be a game? And I'll let you know if it is already out for it and maybe you just didn't know.
Arkham.
Okay, cool.
The whole series.
That'd be interesting. Yeah. See some Arkham ports on there. That'd be cool. I could like that.
It's funny you brought that up. I was actually thinking about that the other day because I want to play Blackgate, but I don't have a 3DS.
Oh, right.
And I want to play Origins again too. But
see, so it was a fun series. And then so for me, it would be Sleeping Dogs. That everyone knows I love Sleeping Dogs, and I think that the Switch has been the console of second wins. Deadly Premonition got ported to it, then also got announced for a sequel, which is a game that even though I always loved, I never thought would get a sequel.
Really?
So Nintendo being G as fuck about that.
Dope,
Alien Isolation was recently ported to it and is one of the best ports I've ever seen ever for a thing. So it was just amazing how they were able to make that look. And
they look pretty solid.
It looked really good on there, and it's just an awesome time. And a lot of people who didn't play it back in 2015 have not played. It's been that second look console. So many ports have been coming out on it that are like people may have never touched before or whatever, and then they touch now and they really like it, or they never heard of it before and now they get a chance to play it.
Yeah.
So for me, Sleeping Dogs is one of those games. It was met with decent critical acclaim when it came out. It was considered a pretty good game, although most people just wrote it off as a GTA clone, even though when you actually play it, it's not really a GTA clone at all. Mm-hmm. It's definitely its own thing, and you could even say it's closer to an Arkham game, if anything.
The fighting mechanic,
than a GTA game. It also has a good story, which is something GTA also has never had before. So they could probably also learn something from that.
Take that.
So
GTA.
With that being the case, that would probably be my dream. My dream Switch port for that. That'd be really, really cool.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Going back to the VGAs, what else did they talk about? Oh, so the one where this one we talked about on the recent episode the other week was the announcement of Wolf Among Us 2. Now, I want to get hyped, right? But the problem is Telltale's dead.
Yeah, it's not Telltale.
It's not Telltale. So the law firm or whoever the fuck it is that picked up the ashes of Telltale and is trying to revive the franchises just to make money.
Yeah.
So I have mixed feelings about that because they did announce a new season of Walking Dead. The Walking Dead Telltale games are pretty good. And then now Wolf Among Us 2, which is what I'm more excited about. But then the only problem is I also have to be wary because it's not the same people and it's being done for probably because it's one of the better selling Telltale games.
So here's what pisses me off about that whole thing. Mm-hmm. One, Walking Dead was wrapped up. Leave it dead. Mm-hmm. Please leave the fucking Walking Dead alone. I'm tired of that goddamn franchise.
They're gonna turn it into the show.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they're gonna do. I more than bet they're gonna do that. And two, you're right. It's not Telltale because what was it? They bought the company essentially, but they didn't hire the dev team back.
Yes, correct. And that's what the problem is that the people who made the original games we know and love are still super unemployed or
Wolf Among Us
did get fired.
Is one of my favorite games like that.
Yeah,
one of my favorite stories. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, amazing take on fucking Fairy Tail and Law and Order.
Yep. Solid.
Fucking great.
If you haven't played it yet for some reason, please play it.
Yeah, do it.
So I saw that and then learned about how Telltale got revived, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I'm in the same boat. I'm kind of like not excited, but I'm curious.
Yeah, if it's good, it's good. I just know it's not a passion project. The very least they can do is be good. So there's that.
Can you pause?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I gotta be.
Sorry,
okay,
that was
sorry.
my bad. No, you're fine.
I was just trying to note the time.
Yeah, note the time. And then this one. Yeah, and we'll talk about that. The other thing that was announced at VGAs that got me excited, though, for good reason, was No More Heroes 3. Earlier, we talked about it in the cast where I mentioned you were still the co-host on the main cast, and we talked about how Suda51 had an announcement and said that something that he's going to have a big game coming out that he's going to announce later this year. We guessed it was going to be No More Heroes 3. Everyone guessed it was going to be No More Heroes 3, and it was. So that's going to be really awesome. Travis Touchdown is back. Cool. Being a memer because the game that he had on Switch sucked ass. And got recently ported to PS4 and Xbox One, I think, so it got infected everybody. That game sucks. The weirdly named one that got announced that I'm excited for, though, because I do like the series, is Bravely Default 2. Which is funny because it's Bravely really Default, good. Bravely Second, and now Bravely Default 2. So it's the third game in the series, but it's called the Bravely Default 2. That's a weird move. The developers got the internet, of course, the way they reacted. I mean, I admit, like, people were dogging on it a little too hard. It was kind of funny, though, because I also laughed at it and said, what the hell? How is it? But anyways, the devs said that they were surprised by the reaction to the internet. I'm just like, it's the internet, man. You should have really realized that.
Expect, bud.
But I saw a funny tweet, though, that said that people who are reacting all crazy to Bravely Default 2 forget that the 15th Kingdom Hearts game is called Kingdom Hearts 3. So I kept laughing, and I was just like, I mean... They're not wrong.
They're not wrong at all.
But I just kept thinking that was funny. Then they showed the very first PS5 game that's going to be coming out called Godfall.
Destiny 3?
I got like hella Destiny vibes from it. Yeah. So it was an interesting one.
It looks neat. But we'll see what else we get.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what it's actually like. So a game came out recently this month called Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey, which a lot of people may have seen with the little like monkey in the screenshot and stuff like that. And
probably, yeah.
It's some weird like I don't know, jungle game like adventure. You play as a monkey or some shit, horses,
cool,
something like that. Anyways, it's by former Assassin's Creed creator Patrice I always forget how to say his name. Desolé or something like that. But anyways, he was really upset with the way it was received because it wasn't received well. But the thing is, the game wasn't that great.
Yeah.
So you kind of get what you give. The thing about it is a lot of developers, I think, an issue that they have. And it's something I always tell people that it's one of the hardest things for developers to keep in mind is that just because something's obvious to you, you made the game, right? So it might not be obvious to the user. So you always have to take that into consideration when making mechanics or thinking about how the solutions to certain levels are going to go. Is that how is the average player going to think about this, or how are they going to beat this? Anyways, so there was an interview. He was interviewed after that came out, and one of the things he mentioned in the interview was he's used to bigger scores, but then he also blamed people for expecting too much. So he kind of did a weird get your cake and eat it too, where he kind of like almost was like, oh, I'm the big Assassin's Creed man. I'm used to having higher scores. But at the same time was just like, oh, people expected too much because I'm the Assassin's Creed man. And it's just like, okay.
So what's your argument? Okay, yeah, you didn't make an Assassin's Creed, so...
Yeah, it's just really weird. The thing is, though, because you made a good game in the past, does it give you a free pass to make bad games?
Yeah, opposite David Cage.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's a really weird thing. The other thing is that he kind of had a very arrogant attitude throughout the interview. He had a very high-class airs put on.
Yeah.
But the difference is... why did I say that part already? It's very similar to what Kojima did, where he talked about how people in Japan like understood what he was doing with the game, which is why it was met with critical acclaim in Japan, but was met with mixed reviews in the Western audiences. I can at least say that at least the Metacritic statistics seem to back this up, but everyone universally didn't like this guy's game. So to kind of come off as if it's high art. But everyone hated it, and that you just don't get it, is a kind of flimsy excuse if there's no audience at all that seemed to get it.
Well, now it just seems like by him saying that he expected people not to get his game because it's too artsy.
Right.
And it's like, then why are you complaining?
Yeah, and then it just gets stupid from there. He goes on to accuse people and critics of not actually playing the game. Now, for people who are professional critics and do scored reviews, it's a tough job because when you review the game, when you do a scored review as a professional, you have to beat the game from beginning to end.
Yeah.
That's how it is. It's why I dropped the whole scoring system on my end, because I usually would it's more. I realized that even though I was going through like half of the game, that's still technically a first impressions. So I stopped doing rated scores because, like, again, it's you never know. There might be something that pisses you off towards the end. You know, one of the infamous reviews where the score was affected by what happened towards the end was Jim Sterling's very infamous review of Hellblade: Sesuna's Sacrifice. And basically he really enjoyed the game and was very surprised at how good it was. But towards the end, or he ended up giving it a 1 out of 10. But what ended up happening is towards the end, there's a part where you're in the darkness and you're supposed to have a little light to keep, because if you go into the darkness, you get hurt or die.
Yeah.
But what happened is he missed the part where you were supposed to grab a torch, but the game autosaved behind him and made the game incompletable. And then, whatever. So he basically, he was very furious about that and did his review. Now, he mentioned 2 things. He said, first of all, he said he shouldn't have rated it right after that because he rated it in rage, and you shouldn't do that for a game because that's not fair to the game because he did like the game 99% of the time. He said, however, what people have to consider for those who got mad at him is although it was wrong for him to do this, it's a very fatal bug. So at the same time, although it was a rare one, at the same time, the bug still did happen to him. So it is his job as a reviewer to let people know all the cards you're holding as well in the experience that you had. So, I think he just ended up contacting Metacritic because they actually do take all the professional scores seriously, and that's how they make the, Metascore.
Yeah.
And he asked them to remove his score, put it as a neutral for now, as if it unrated, like he didn't do it. And I don't know if he ended up going back and giving it a score, or if he just ended up leaving it unscored, so that way, it didn't affect the Metacritic. But he did do his due diligence as a reviewer and said, hey, look, I fucked up. I submitted it as a 1 out of 10, but I shouldn't have done that. So, he made Metacritic reverse his decision, at least at a neutral stance.
You can't be mad at that.
But
that is kind of game-breaking.
Yeah, so that was a really long tangent to go with it. But anyway, so Patrice went ahead and accused people of not actually playing the game. Is that why people are reviewing it so shittily? He went through some asinine thing where he talks about, it being impossible for people to beat 15 games a week, which it is kind of impossible, but there are some reviewers who beat quite a bit, which blows my mind, right? I understand it's their full-time job, right? They don't have a 9 to 5 like we do. But at the same time, if you think about it, even if I didn't have a 9 to 5, right? You're doing your video reviews, your written reviews, or whatever, right? And you're playing all these games, right? How many games, even if you're on a vacation and stuff like that, how many games do you actually beat in a weekly period, right? And say your deadline is a week. There are some games I cannot beat in a week.
I don't think I've ever beaten a game truly in a week that I had on a first run.
Right.
A game I've played before.
And, yeah, exactly, right? And so, again, you're rating these brand new games that are coming out. You have to beat them from beginning to end. Yeah. It's a hard assignment. When you have a piece of shit game like this one in between, of course it makes it hard to do, Yeah. But
because you have to do it.
Yeah. He goes along, he continues to go on, and he even throws the real petty line of, like, I don't know what you would... I had a particular what I would call it, what type of turn of phrase I would call it, but he basically did the whole thing where he was just like, well, I don't know how to make a video game though, right? So fuck me. And I'm just like, what kind of like, yeah, you clearly don't know how to make a video game, asshat, because you thought just because you made Assassin's Creed that you were going to go on, and now maybe it was your studio that helped you make a good game and not you fucker. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, this kind of almost proves that, your first foray as a solo artist and it flops.
Yeah, there you go.
Imagine, right? So say you're a member of a big rock band, right?
Yeah.
And then you get a big head and you think you're so goddamn good, and then you leave that band, they continue to be pretty successul, and then your solo albums just flop one after the other.
I'm trying to think, who did that?
What does that tell you? Well, a lot of people. But
a lot of people.
A lot of solo artists. But anyways, he just does that thing where he just starts being really petty and immature about it.
Yeah.
And the thing that's even worse is the fact that he has a 64 Metascore, which isn't even like entirely shitty.
Yeah, that's not
That's
bad.
Considered like fair, I believe, on the Metacritic score.
Yeah.
Now, of course, he does have a lower user score of 5.4 out of 10, so it's. That's the thing that also kind of proves that it's a fair score, is that the user score and the Metacritic score always line up, which almost never happens. Usually a lot of games the people love and the critics didn't care for as much, or vice versa. It's usually harder that it meets it. That close towards the bottom spectrum.
Yeah.
In higher rated games, they usually, you know, Spider-Man PS4 is like high user score, high Metacritic, so
that's not even a good
stuff
game
like that. But god damn it. What was I going to say? Oh yeah,
JK, I love Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, it's probably the best Marvel game to ever come out for sure. Because fucking Ultimate Alliance 3 sucked dick, and that definitely
was
wasn't
super
good.
disappointing. Yeah, probably.
Because other than Spider-Man, I can't think of that many good Marvel games. They usually suck.
Yeah, well, superhero games in general.
Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting because in the episode where we talked about that particular subject matter, we actually did have a video game dev as our guest in that episode. So we had a lot of interesting outlooks on my opinions as a content creator and influencer opinion man, and him as an actual developer. So it was interesting. We had our conversation, but he did agree that Patrice could have handled it better and stuff like that. And he made a few fair points in defense of devs, but he also did say, you know, that he was not necessarily in the right though, and that the way he could have gone better about it.
Yeah.
And so on. But it was interesting. We talked about him and I talked about industry privilege on the side of consumers, the players, and the devs. Devs like Patrice who expect, you know, developers that have a certain expectation, and what players feel they're owed or whatever. Like when gamers kind of have that owed mentality, like, you know, they owe us to have a good game because they do take our money.
Yeah.
Then on the flip side, the devs have a mission or a idea in mind that may not always line up. It's a whole, you know, it's a whole big discussion. That's very interesting. As we wind it down, there are a couple of topics left. Cliffy B.
Haven't heard that name.
Good old Cliff Bleszinski is back in the news. So, you also remember we talked about how Cliffy B fired everybody. You know, his imaginary severance packages, going to that employee's wedding. I think you were still the co-host at the time.
I was still there.
You know all that, right? And then he went into retirement, right? Is it retirement if you were basically shunned out of society and the industry? I don't know if you. That's like okay. That's like the Spurs are losing by like 50 points, and then they all just go home and said, "Now we gave up. We didn't lose."
Oh, so this season
we were gonna. They're just like we were gonna win, but we're leaving. We're quitting. So we're retiring.
I think the polite office term is he took a sabbatical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that, and so he fucked off and said he was retiring as if he had the choice.
Yeah. Okay.
As if anyone wants to fucking hire him, right?
Cool.
Anyways, he's back in social media.
Super excited.
And he's spoken up. So he's totally not because he needs money. Because, you know, he's so loaded. Cliff Bleszinski, for those who don't know, formerly of Epic Games, formerly of his own company, Boss Key. He has spoken up and talked about how he wants to come back to the industry.
Oh, does
he has just got passion boiling in his veins. He doesn't even care if it's as an artist, as a developer, as a story writer, whatever. Because he can do it all. He's Cliffy B, right? He made Gears of War.
Yes, he did.
And
just imagine the Eric Andre meme.
And yeah, basically. And he's basically, you know, it's funny, right? Because what does that sound like? It doesn't sound like a versatile man. It sounds like I need a job. I don't care what position you give me at your company. Give me coffee boy. Yeah. I don't even care at this point. Intern. Like, hey, but guys. He's trying to put a spin on it. So he's begging for a job, but at the same time, he's putting a spin on it as if it's like this. He's doing this whole faux passion project thing where he's just like, he talks about how he's got so much passion for games and that he wants to create again. That this time away in retirement and just, you know, wasted all these, you know, just all these ideas ready to go.
He's got this. It's like a hat full of ideas coming out of the top of my head. This is why every famous person needs a publicist.
Yeah, basically, and why some people just shouldn't be on social media.
Exactly. Like, cool, man. I get it. You put all your eggs in one basket for gaming, and now you can't do that.
Now you have no more eggs left.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, and then of course the last thing he did, it's not like if the last thing he did was Gears of War, then retired, that would be like one thing.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been involved in Gears of War since it started going downhill already. It's been getting better again, but that was way after he left.
Was he on Judgment?
No.
So 3
he was already gone. I think 3 was his last one.
Okay.
Or maybe it wasn't. I don't know. It was in that era though when it started getting shitty.
But the last thing he did was that hand drawn thing, right? Was that Cliffy B?
I don't know. But he did Lawbreakers was the last thing he did, and
That's
that was
what I'm thinking of.
that was a failed attempt at the Overwatch killer.
That was a Battleborn clone.
So he,
It was a Battleborn clone.
Oh, I know, which is even worse. But anyway, so this last project failed, and that's why the whole company went under, and then he fired everybody and kept all the money. But yeah, so he also made a slighted, backhanded thing for some reason, and was like, he was basically talking about how he wants to get back in the games industry, and then talking to nobody, like that meme, like nobody, absolutely no one meme. He goes, and no, I'm not going to become a YouTuber or stream. I'm 44 for God's sake. Like, as if like he's so mature or like so old that like if he just slights like an unnecessary, unwarranted slight towards content creators. Probably the only people that could have even give him a win to bring him back. You know, if you took a really passionate Gears of War player or something, and then put them back into like, you know, be like, oh, I'm gonna start streaming Gears again that you worked on, and kind of hype you up, and maybe when you have your big project we can throw that in there and I'll start streaming that or whatever. Just throw them all under the bus before you have a chance.
You idiot.
So there's that.
Especially in this day and age, like why would you ostracize YouTubers?
Yeah, exactly. The influencers are like literally what makes so many devs and companies sink or swim. It just is. That's just the world we live in now. It's just what it is.
I saw this meme the other day about how people were griping about some game mechanic they don't have in the new COD, or they do, or something like that. And then Ninja said something about it. Didn't even tweet directly at them. He just said something about it, and they took notice on that. So yes, these are very important people.
There's a reason they call them influencers.
Yep.
And then finally, the topic I definitely wanted, I would find interesting to see your take on it, because the rest of us discussed this already, so this is going to be more like for you.
Yeah.
So recently at the Game Awards, the Xbox Project Scarlet, the next one, was finally named.
Yeah.
Its official name. The Xbox Series X. In short, for those who don't know, it's essentially going to be a gaming PC, because it's going to have swappable components, upgradable stuff. There's 2 different tiers you can start at, so on and so forth. The thing that's interesting, and at least as far as I gather and what I take, is that it puts itself in a spot in which it has a very blurred demographic now. Now, Xbox always seems to be gearing towards almost feeling like they're going to disappear, because they started having all their games on PC now. When you buy one version, you get both, cross-play with PC, and now basically turning the Xbox into a PC. Now, even though I don't think the Xbox name will go away, I think by turning more and more into a PC, it eventually will just become a PC.
Yeah.
And Xbox as a console proper, as we know it, will kind of like cease to be a thing.
Yeah, I think it'll be a more overarching brand than a specific gaming device.
Right. So I think that that's kind of where they're going with that, and I think that's their best way to kind of like exit the console war without exiting.
Yeah.
And this almost seems like the first level of that happening, if it isn't the beginning of a new form, essentially.
Yeah, they're kind of throwing it on the gauntlet to Sony here, because Sony, is coming at you with this whole ray tracing and solid state drive and everything, and it's like, okay, so you're building a PC. Well, Microsoft's like, well, here, let's actually give you a PC.
Right, and then it has all the perks of a PC. And we're talking about this because Josh swapped out the hard drive for a better one on his PS4 a couple times, but it's a big pain in the ass. When Xbox makes it that much easier, where do you go from there when it's a modular console, essentially?
Yeah, and that's what they were talking about this last time, modulating the X-Bone, but it was never going to happen.
Not like that. Yeah, exactly. That was the original intent of the Xbox One X, but that ended up not happening.
As far as the name, I think Xbox has always been kind of like...
They're bad at naming
yeah, but it doesn't matter.
I mean, here's how I put it, right? You have PlayStation and Xbox are both bad at naming consoles.
Yeah.
Because... One, just keeps adding a number at the end.
Yeah.
Wow.
You do.
And then 2, keeps changing it, but all these really awful things, which is funny where the project names sound better than the actual things.
Yeah.
You had Project Scorpio, which ended up being the Xbox One X, and then you had the Project Scarlet, which ended up being the Xbox Series X. So you have the X-Bone, the Xbox, the Xbone Sad, which is the Xbox One S all digital, and now you have the Xbox Sex, which is the Xbox One Series X. Now, they must be doing it on purpose. But anyways,
that's the thing. I was gonna say it's a true sign of tech savvy, I guess, because it's not about what you call the product; it's about the quality of the product.
So, Xbox has always been the leader in the tech side of things, for sure. Sony's whole their whole user infrastructure, online service as in general, is just Xbox Live laid the groundwork for that. Yeah. A lot of the newer feature stuff, like they had that new add-on for the PS4 controller, which is just the Xbox Elite back buttons.
I saw that.
They just shamelessly copy Xbox while laughing at them. They go, "That's so stupid," and then they do the exact same thing.
Because Sony's cool guy. Sony is Apple.
And yeah, they really are. And then you have the same thing with the. They laugh at the Xbox's controller design, then they released the Xbox, the Razer Tournament Edition PlayStation 4 controller is just an Xbox One controller. So it's weird, but anyways, but on the flip side of things, PlayStation's always been better at marketing themselves for gamers. Tech is one thing, and you can always do that, and that's cool. And Microsoft will never probably die because of that per se, but PlayStation's always known how to market better for the games. They've always just been a tried and true console. And I think they'll continue to do that. So they're all kind of going into their own ecosystems. But the weird thing about Xbox is they now have a very weird, blurred demographic because you don't really know where it is. You know, will a PC player care about a more limited PC, or will a console player care about a more customizable PC or console? It's just one of those things where it's kind of in a mixed. Area of like identity, because at that point they just don't know where to go. I think because like who are they appealing to? You know, is a gamer going to care that you can swap out the hard drives or change this and that? And then again, is a PC player going to be like, well, I already have a PC, so.
I think it's more engineered towards the gamer, the console gamer, if you will, because now they're in that no man's land where most console gamers either already made the jump to PC or because of this will so now. Mm-hmm. But this could be an easy transition, like, you know, my first PC kind of thing, where Microsoft did all the hard work, now you can just learn how to do even more. I like it. I think it's going to be cool. I don't know if I'm going to get one. My only impetus for owning an Xbox is to play Halo. And now that Halo is available on PC, well, I might as well just get a PC, you know? And that's kind of where the argument I see arising is, like, why would I get one of these when I could just build a PC? But that's why I make the counter argument, well, this could be a nice intro if you're not very tech savvy.
Right. And so it really does make you think about, where that's going to go. But it's almost going to split them. So you have Xbox in this weird, like, purgatory thing, and then you have Switch being Nintendo where they always just kind of do their own thing, and then you have Sony that's going to kind of just have the mainstream console proper, almost on a monopoly.
Yeah, like I feel like what you said is right. Like Sony's always been marketed as a true console. Like this is just for games, you know. It's your PlayStation. I think it's gonna that when the dust settles, like Sony's just gonna be in a world of its own where they're the only gaming console. And Nintendo makes gaming consoles too, but they've never really been in the console wars. You know? Yeah. Nintendo just doesn't give a fuck. They're going to keep doing what they're going to do. Exactly. And they're always going to succeed.
Exactly. And that's why they succeed, because they're just busy focused on what their demographic wants.
Yeah, exactly. Which is great. That's fine. Mm-hmm. Because they have their niche and they do it well. Yeah. Same with Sony, I think. Like I said, Sony's Apple because Sony is that cool, hip, like, you know, that's why you see fucking Sony hoodies that zip in half at Forever 21 or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's fashionable.
It's hip. Yep, exactly. It's fashionable. Whereas Xbox isn't, and that's where they've always had that struggle. They're like
those are my Xbox socks.
Like the weird,
comfiest socks ever.
Yeah. One thing I will say though, and I said this to Mallory because she's usually the Xbox representative, is that the good thing I can give them credit to is that no one pretends to be an Xbox fan.
Oh yeah.
So at least you always know that. I got to give them credit for being loyal fans. You know, they're like fucking Browns fans. You know, like no one pretends to do that. So yeah, good on you if you do. So with that being said, you kind of already voiced your opinion on that. Uh-huh. So not so much the involvement of PS4 versus Xbox, but because you have more than none. Some people have more minimal, but almost everyone has some Xbox experience in their gaming rapport. even people I know that normally are always PlayStation, dipped into 360 for a while because it was a lot more affordable at the time, because when the PlayStation 3 first dropped, a lot of people forget, it was like $600.
Yeah,
so it was very expensive. And then the dude who worked there got super fired because he was the one who was just like, oh, well, people will learn discipline and save up for one and all this shit.
Really?
And then he got, and then he got super fired. So with that being the case, what is your personal, your Xbox story in your life, and where you kind of touched on it a little bit, but where do you see Xbox going from here? Do you ever see it going after your experience? Where do you see Xbox going from here, and do you ever see them going away, or do you just see them kind of adapting to a different thing?
So the Xbox was the first multiplayer console I ever had. That was the first time it went from me playing like PlayStation, like playing Crash or something, and my buddy watching, to like us actually playing Halo together, or fucking Fusion Frenzy.
Oh yeah, Fusion Frenzy. See, thank God someone finally remembers that.
I love.
I was bringing Fusion Frenzy, and people fucking know what I'm talking about.
Dope, super fun. So for me, Xbox was my first foray into like the world of gaming as a whole,
kind of as we know it now.
Yeah, as opposed to just being a recluse. I bought a 360 over a 4 because of Halo. Or a 3, excuse me, because of Halo. I got a PS3 because I wanted to keep playing God of War, and I played a little bit of Uncharted and all that, but what got me really was Resistance. So that was my thing. And that's really all I played on my PS3. I didn't have a whole lot to it. But I played my Xbox more as a kid. When the 4 came out, I transitioned back, but I still had the 1 because of Halo again. So that's where it's always been. But
when it came to 4 and Xbox, which one did you grab first?
4.
Okay.
Yeah. 4 because of Destiny, because it was Bungie. And at that time, see, it like everything in gaming for me can almost be traced back to Halo. So, but because it was Bungie, and at that time 343 was coming in, the MCC was like fucking garbage.
Sure. It was.
So, yeah, that's why I went there. But I sold my PS4 over my Xbox. So that tells... And I love Sony. I'm a Sony faithful, but I think I'm always going to be Xbox at my core. Like you said, no one lies about being an Xbox fan. Well, I'm an Xbox fan.
There you go.
Where I think it's going to go, and we saw this in the last generation when they're like, oh, it's going to be modular and PC and all that, right? I think a lot of my... Oh, before I go into that. A lot of my Xbox friends have transitioned to PC because, like I said, everything's available on PC.
Exactly. Now you can actually play Halo and Gears, and you can play it on much higher frame rates and resolutions.
And keyboard and mouse will always be better than controller. But we still use controllers because nostalgia and preference. Where I think it's going to go is I think it's going to evolve into this weird middle point where, like I said, it'll be like a PC, but like an intro PC, like, my first PC attempt. I hope they make it accessible in that regard, where if you are completely tech illiterate like I am, like I understand what a CPU is and like
you're not going in there and being like, hey kid, could you clean the bugs out of my computer?
Yeah, like, so I hope they make it user friendly in that regard, where the plebes like me will be able to modulate their X sets as they want.
Yeah, and that's a very good one, and I think that's where they're probably going to try to go. To varied success levels. But I find that very interesting, right? So think about it. Imagine because for some people, building a PC is very intimidating.
Yeah.
And expensive. If they hit the right price point, say they do... I feel like my prediction, cold prediction, like this isn't based off anyone's speculation.
Yeah.
That I've seen anyways. $600. I think PS5 and Xbox Series X are going to start at $600.
That's what the general rumble is in industry side. From an actual retail standpoint. So,
with that being the case, it seems to line up. And I had no preface of this. No, that was just my guess as to where I see the industry going.
Yeah. Because basically, because of that is... Because of what the specs are, it's like a $1,200 PC. So most people are saying, well, they're just going to cut it in half. Which it seems like that's how it's going to go.
And if you can get something that has the specs that they promise and it actually delivers that at a $600 price point, and you can have modularity, it might just be that edge they need for people to get really into that are kind of transitioning towards PC more.
And in that kind of transitioning away a bit is I think Xbox is going to win the initial salvo of this console war, because they might actually make profit off of that.
Right.
Because that's what they're used to. PC is their realm. Sony is trying to do that as well, but that's like...
That's out of their wheelhouse for sure.
So I think even now, like I spoke to a Sony rep, and this is not like verifiable. This is just off the books, right? And he's like, yes, they're actually taking a loss right now in their sales just because of the price point they set it at, because it's so low. You know, like I picked mine up for what, 200, my terabyte slim, which it went back up to the full price now. They knocked 50 off, but and so they might make a profit by the end of this quarter. But this is all hearsay. I'm not. I'm not a business savvy person. I'm just.
Nor are you saying you're talking to the CEO of Sony?
Exactly. This is just a regular Sony rep. The guy works for Sony in a certain capacity.
Yeah.
So this is just all hearsay. But it leads, like if you look at the numbers and you understand it, it kind of leads to believe that would be true.
It would make sense. The PS2 didn't make a profit for like over a decade.
Yeah.
So it would make sense. It would line up with their previous thing. Sony always takes a loss up front to succeed enough to make it to the next one.
Yeah.
They're never making like fucking gangbuster numbers in terms of sheer pure profit, but they sell enough to make up for their losses.
Yeah, he posited that they make it up on the games end.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
To make it up on software. All right, everybody. Tell us what you think and what your thoughts are on any of these topics, or especially the console future ones, because we'll see. End of next year is already when it's starting, the next gen.
Probably November.
Yeah, so we'll see. All right, then. Hit us up at disconnectedcastmail@gmail.com. Once again, that's disconnectedcastmail@gmail.com. And we will see you all on the next episode of the Proper Cast every Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, as well as Reconnected Cast spin-off podcast every last Thursday of the month. So until the next episode, we will catch you guys then. Until then, see you.
Take it easy, guys.
Every tight until they out of sight. I will learn to stand.